President Akufo-Addo confers with former Presidents Rawlings, Kufuor and Mahama. President's 100 days in office marked with mixed reactions. Finance Minister directs that over 26,000 names be deleted from public sector payroll. And late Ghanaian entrepreneur and women's rights activist Esther Oklu honored on the UK homepage. It's sundown. Good evening and welcome to News Hour, live on GBC24 and Ghana Television. My name is Emmanuel Amagashi, and to our very first story. In Accra on Tuesday, President Akufo-Addo held discussions with all three surviving former presidents of the country, Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings, President John Agyekum Kufuor, and President John Dramani Mahama. The discussions took place at the Flagstaff House. The meeting, held behind closed doors, covered wide-ranging issues of national interest.
The three former presidents arrived at the presidency one after the other. The first was Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings. He ruled for 19 years, thus making him the longest-serving president in the history of Ghana. Next was President John Agyekum Kufuor. He is the first from the Dankwa, Dombo and Buzia tradition to have finished 2 terms of 8 years on the throne. And finally, the arrival of former President John Mahama. Former President John Mahama was the first vice president to take over from late President Mills and continued to win an election. But the three former presidents also have another common name, John. Current President Nana Akufo-Addo is the first to assume the high office under the 4th Republican Constitution without the first name John. The first meeting of former president and a sitting one, which lasted for 2 hours, was held in a good atmosphere, one of frank exchange and mutual respect. The purpose was to seek their views on some governance-enhancing measures his administration intends to take. It is the intention of President Akufo-Addo to have further meetings with the three former presidents in the future. In his inaugural speech on Saturday, January 7, 2017, President Akufo-Addo stated that, quote, "I am in the unique position of being able to draw on the wisdom and experience of three former presidents of the Republic, Their Excellency John Rawlings, John Agyekum Kufuor, and John Dramani Mahama. They represent the continuity of the institutions of our Republic, for which we thank God."
Now, the assessment of President Akufo-Addo's first 100 days in office has been received with mixed reactions. While some lauded the government for abolishing taxes and easing the pressure on the city, others point to the activities of vigilante groups, the Delta and Invisible Forces affiliated to the NPP, and are calling for serious action to bring them under control.
President in their first 100 days in office has become the norm, not the exception. This gives credence to the move by Ghanaians to give their verdict on the government of President Akufo-Addo from January 7 to April 17, 2017. To the Vice President, Dr. Muhammadu Bawumia, the abolition and reduction of taxes, easing down of inflation from 15.4% in January to 12.8% in March 2017 is a positive development. Levies on kaya and petroleum have been abolished, while 17.5% VAT on financial services has also been removed. On the energy front, the government said it has stabilized power supply and also saved about $300 million by reviewing and prioritizing power purchase agreements. The government says now more than 2 oil marketing companies are allowed to supply premixed fuel, and this is aimed at promoting competitiveness and transparency. Ghana's food import bill in 2016 stood at $2.5 billion, and to reverse this trend, the government is rolling out a program that planting for food and jobs. About 200,000 have been registered to grow 5 crops, namely rice, maize, sorghum, soya, and vegetables. 560 million Ghana cedis have been earmarked for the project, and the return on investment is projected at 1.3 billion Ghana cedis. However, the downside of the government during the 100 days include a Delta Force incident in Kumasi, where persons standing trial for allegedly forcing the Ashanti Regional Coordinator out of office jumped bail. Also, the invisible forces were reported to have gone to seize vehicles and blocked office of the National Health Insurance, Passport Office, and the school feeding program. The The Center for Democratic Development, CDD, says the failure of the government and security agency to deal decisively has dented the progress made in the 100-day period of President Akufo-Addo. The CDD also said it was disappointed by the president's move to appoint 110 ministers, but it lauded the government's stance on allocating 1.2 million Ghana cedis to Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, SHRAJ, to implement activities under the National Anti-Corruption Action Plan, NACAP. Going forward, the government said the steps taken to fight galamsey, the digital property addressing system, and the $456 million allocated for the One District, One Factory program will go a long way to put the economy on the path of accelerated growth. Edward Nyakun, reporting for GBC24.
Meanwhile, the Minority Caucus in Parliament has been assessing President Akufo-Addo's first 100 days in office. It says the president is still struggling to find his feet. At a news conference in Accra, the minority MPs cited attacks on civilians and government institutions by pro-NPP vigilante groups, the size of the government, the 15% increase in transport fares, and the capping of statutory funds for critical agencies, among others. The comment by the Minority Caucus in Parliament contrasts sharply with the achievements outlined by the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
The Minority Caucus expressed disappointment at President Akufo-Addo's 100 days in office. They claim the president has not been able to fulfill the campaign promises within the period.
Another major promise that President Akufo-Addo has broken is his failed promise to Ghanaian contractors. On 31st October 2016, he promised the contractors that he will pay all debts owed them within the first 100 days of his ascension to the presidency. It has been 100 days and still counting. We note that the communications sector achievement of 47, 48, 49, and 50 are all projects for which President Mahama should be given credit under the World Bank supported $97 million e-transform projects. As Dr. Bawumia went on his shopping spree yesterday, looking for non-existing achievements, one could not help but pity him. Even putting together terms of reference for a committee in the health sector was listed as an achievement. How could cutting sod for a cathedral without any secured funding be listed as an achievement? How could the silting of drains be listed as an achievement? How could financial clearance for nurses, which Bawumia's MPP government cancelled and only partially reinstated, be described as an achievement?
To the minority, the intimidation and assault by the Delta and invisible forces on state institutions, as well as the court, remains a blot on the president's first 100 days in office. The number of ministers appointed by the president, dismissal and termination of appointments of some public officials were issues of concern.
Job insecurity, employment remains the best measure of living standards. Yet they are denying people jobs and saying go home. Those have families and they are not even respecting contract employment. I mean, if I'm a job, you want me to proceed home, the law requires that you give me 6 months notice or even buy 6 months of my activity and compensate for it. That is not being done in the name of excessive partisanship, of not sharing their political belief and faith.
The minority also assessed the state of the economy.
President Akufo-Addo in particular accused the NDC administration at the time of insensitivity of fuel and electricity prices. More specifically, he promised that immediately after coming into office, he will reduce both fuel and electricity prices. He singled out the energy sector levy as a cause of the hardship and promised to remove them. Contrary to this promise, fuel prices have gone up cumulatively by about 18% in the first 100 days of the Akufo-Addo administration, while electricity have not seen any reduction. In fact, we want to find out from President Akufo-Addo whether rents have become lower than electricity tariffs since he became president.
Still on the 100 days, a governance analyst, Mr. Frederick Ejakwodro, is calling on all political parties to pool resources and work with security institutions to tackle the rise of vigilante groups in the country. Mr. Ejakwo was speaking to GBC24 on President Akufo-Addo's 100 days in office and the way forward.
There's a cause for hope in what the government is doing, notwithstanding the most unacceptable situation that has been dealt to this country by the forces, the Delta forces, and the rest of them. I think we have a lot to be hopeful about. And again, I've listened to the opposition giving their version of strength, but I don't think it is wholly true. So I believe, let's be happy for what is happening to our country. Let us come together and solve the key problems, especially with the vigilantes. And I think it's a responsibility of all the political parties to come together to solve that problem. Because if we allow it to continue, come the next time that there is a change in government, we're going to have a cycle. When it started, it was drip, drip. Now it's becoming more violent and more dangerous.
Right.
This is time for all the political parties to come together, for all the key institutions, particularly the police, which I blame a lot for much of what has gone on, to come together so that we find a lasting solution to that problem. On the governance front, I think the government has done well, especially at the national level, where all the ministers are in place. However, another negative or minus would be the inability of the government to appoint the full complement of municipal, district, and metropolitan chief executives. So I am praying and hoping that as soon as possible, the appointment for district chief executives will come out so that governance at the local level can also be taken up.
Meanwhile, a cross-section of the public have largely lauded President Akufo-Addo's performance within the first 100 days. Although some had reservations, they still expressed hope in the president's ability to deliver on his campaign promises.
Well, his performance for these 100 days, I think, let me see, he'll do well. He'll do well. Because within a short time, the kind of things he has put in place, if only he will implement it as he promised, I think everything will go on well with us now. For me, for instance, concerning the papers, the raw materials that he has slashed the import duties down, I'm okay with that because our job, for instance, is a raw material that kills us big time. If the raw materials are cheaper, you can give a good quotations to our customers, and they will not print outside too.
Days no dear. Yenya hu bibia but o matutu to niam so. Sika ni ho bibia ni boyedi. Omo nto ade. Enti yenya hu hwi but yena ye hwe de nyambe.
I would say I've not seen the effect in my life at the moment, but looking at the way things are going, I believe it will turn around.
What they call the nuisance taxes, the car taxes and all that, that they've scrapped, I think that's in the right direction. But in terms of security, that one, they've not done so well with that.
We are giving a 4-year mandate to the person who is elected as president at the end of the presidential elections. And so performance during 100 days, I think it's a bit problematic because I doubt if it's a good basis to judge the performance of a government.
Now, government is to launch the Planting for Food and Jobs campaign tomorrow in the Bonuafo region. Earlier in the day, GBC24's Edward Nyako spoke to the Minister for Food and Agriculture, Dr. Osofri Yakuto, on the campaign and the expected outcome.
A specific thing you're going to do to help turn the
economy run? Because over the years we heard of we have a structural problem with the economy. But what are some of the things you're going to do to make sure that this program becomes reality?
It's actually what I call a campaign, and it's a campaign to involve all 28 million Ghanaians to take advantage of the upcoming planting season, to plant something in their backyards or on their farms in order to improve agricultural production.
One will say, are we not going back to the Operation Feed Yourself system? What is the difference?
It is the only similarity between Operation Feed Yourself of the 1970s and this one is calling on the civic responsibility of all Ghanaians. The spearhead of the campaign, Planting for Food and Jobs, involves the selection of 200,000 farmers in all the 216 districts of this country, providing them improved seed and fertilizer, backed by the provision of extension services to the farmers for improved practices, and of course assuring that there's a market for the produce at the end of the day. We are heading towards a situation of zero losses at the farm gate, and all backed by a database of an e-agriculture program which we have reactivated in this ministry to capture the data both in terms of the inputs and the produce that are going to be produced. These are the features which have been designed intricately in order that the decline in agriculture, the increased impulse of food, which is now costing us over $2.2 billion a year, all will be
Now, a national policy summit has been launched in Accra. The summit opens up an opportunity for dialogue involving the private sector, government agencies, and the general public on government policies and programs in agriculture, finance, economy, trade, and industry.
Our Policy Summit is a monthly forum that aims to engage the public on government policies and give detailed account on strategies put in place to revamp the economy. The summit will also focus on fostering partnership between government and the private sector in the areas of energy, infrastructure for poverty eradication, agriculture and finance. The Forum on Agriculture will empower the private sector to participate in the Planting for Food and Jobs program. With regards to trade and industry, the session will look at how private players and potential employees can participate in the One District, One Factory initiative.
It's the expectation of governments that through these summits, government policies will be well articulated to engineer the needed partnership required for growth. I would like to take this opportunity to ask the private sector, which stands to benefit most from government policies, to join hands with us and fully participate in this summit to stand the chance of gaining first-hand knowledge so that they can reap the benefits of this summit.
The first summit is slated for the 2nd and 3rd of May 2017 and will focus on the economy.
Each month, we shall narrow in on a selected ministry or sector and bring together various actors to participate in this national policy summit dedicated to the specific sector. The very first summit is slated for the 2nd and the 3rd of May 2017 and will focus on the economy. This is because the economy is the biggest challenge inherited by the Akufo-Addo government and also the sector that has received the biggest share of government's policy attention in these first 3 months of our governance.
The National Policy Summit will be officially opened by President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
This is where we take a break. We are back shortly with business.
Good evening, my name is Morris Ogbete. Time to talk business, brought to you by NIB and Ernest Chemist. $1.5 billion domestic bond by investor Franklin Templeton has come under sharp criticism from the minority in Parliament for what it describes as lack of transparency. According to a former Deputy Finance Minister, Mr. Atufosing, the transaction conducted in a day was shrouded in secrecy, denying other players, especially Ghanaian investors, a fair opportunity to participate.
The Ministry of Finance did not, however, name any company or individual that participated in the sale, except to say that the issuance attracted a number of global portfolio investors, including a very substantial investment, the 15-year bond, by a very well-respected global financial investor. So let me say that the issue did not attract a lot of investors. It was cooked for one investor. Yes. Reuters subsequently reported that a senior government official, speaking on condition of anonymity, said Franklin Templeton had participated in the sale. As noted, the information is now available in the public domain. Appears to indicate that Honorable Trevor J. Travagan is not just a board chairman of Enterprise Insurance Limited, a company owned partially by the current finance minister, and his company, Data Bank Limited. Putting this apparent fact together, we have reason to believe that there was a relational interest between our finance minister and his good friend, Trevor J. Travagan, which creates a potential lack of transparency and a conflict of interest. As we all know, the Constitution of this Republic provides unequivocally that the public officer should not put themselves in a situation in which they have private interest conflict with their public obligation. Now that a good link has been established between the finance minister and his friend, Trevor, it is clear that the finance minister issued this bond in a way that will favor his friend, family, and business partners. Under these circumstances, we wish to call for a full-scale parliamentary inquiry into this transaction, whether and to the extent to which this situation of lack of transparency and conflict of interest have adversely affected the welfare of the people of Ghana and the interest of the state.
And still in business, Managing Director of the Social Security National Insurance Trust, SNIT, Dr. John Ofori-Tinkrang, says if government fails to pay public sector contributions owed, the trust, SNIT, will run into difficulties in paying benefits of contributors.
The primary responsibility of the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SNIT, is to replace part of lost income of workers in Ghana due to old age, invalidity and permanent migration of an expatriate contributor from Ghana. The trust also pays survivors lump sum to nominated dependents of contributors in the event of death. This SNIT has been performing since its inception in 1972. However, the Managing Director of the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SNIT, Dr. John Ofori-Tinkrang, says the indebtedness of the government and public sector institutions to the trust is hampering its work, especially when it comes to premium payments. Currently, the government owes SNIT in excess of 600 million Ghana cedis from unpaid public sector workers' contributions. He described the situation as a major setback in SNIT's operations.
We have liquidity problems, and that, in fact, tomorrow have a meeting with the Honorable Minister and the Controller and Accountant General to try and see, how they can pay up some of the stuff that they owe us, so that at least we get some breathing space to be able to carry on our duties as a short-term measure. If we do not get some injection of liquidity from the people that owe us, we might hit that brick wall. As to the timing of that, I couldn't tell you, but it's something that we're working on, and that's why I'm telling you that tomorrow we've scheduled a meeting with the Honorable Minister and the Controller and Accountant General Office, to try and get us some money. At least the Honorable Minister has acknowledged today that they owe us.
Dr. John Ofori-Tinkrang said SNIT will dialogue with the government to settle the debt as soon as possible.
if the investments are prudently managed, first of all, if they are selected prudently, then we will yield the return. We cannot have a portfolio where, let's say, half of it is going bad or yielding nothing. We need to earn a real return above inflation. And also, in my view, the return should have real purchasing power. As I alluded to before, that a lot of our inflation in Ghana is imported. When the dollar goes up, we are increasing everything. You all know that. So we cannot sit here and tickle ourselves and fool ourselves to think that we are immune to exchange rate fluctuations and so some things like that. And that's why I'm saying that we have to start rethinking and seeing how we can get some foreign currency linked returns in our portfolio.
Currently, SNIT has active contributors of about 1.33 million people, with contributions for the year 2016 amounting to 1.86 million Ghana cedis, down by 12% from 2015.
Still Business Live on GBC24. Managing Director of Glyco Capital, Andrew Techi Apia, has told GBC24 that it is early days yet to see the full effect of tax cuts in the financial sector. Assessing the financial sector relative to 100 days of the new government, Mr. Techi Apia said the full effect of some abolished taxes in the sector will be felt by close of first quarter of the year.
This new administration has brought in a lot of very stringent fiscal economy management. They brought in good monetary policy management. So what you're seeing is with abolition of taxes, stringent management of the fiscal policy and monetary environment, it only leads to what? A reduction in interest rates. Because the government, who is the largest consumer in the domestic treasury, is no more crowding it out. Quote unquote, I think it's trickled down. It will take probably about 3 more quarters for us to have the full-blown effect. Hopefully backed by the stringent policy, fiscal policy environment, monetary policy management environment, that effect will be stronger. Right. So yes, on the whole, it's trickled down. We need to do more. We need to bring in the relevant behaviors, and this will come through the educational programs, which will have.
The Minister of Finance, Ken Oforiatta, has directed that names of some 26,589 public sector workers be removed from the payroll commencing April 2017, since those affected have not been registered on the new SNIT biometric system, despite several directives to do so. The minister, in his presentation of the 2017 budget, announced government's commitment to clean the payroll. To that effect, the minister requested that the Controller and Accountant General on the 10th of February 2017 inform all public servants on the Government of Ghana mechanized payroll system who had not registered on the new SNIT biometric system to do so by the end of February 2017. The notice said end of March 2017, salaries of unenrolled workers were to be suspended indefinitely or until the SNIT re-enrollment the said workers. The February 28, 2017 deadline was further extended to March 31, 2017 by the Finance Minister. The directive will now come into effect at the end of April 2017. Consequently, those not registered with SNIT as directed shall be treated as ghost names and their names removed from the payroll for April 2017. Let's go to the interbank market, where the pound is selling at 5 cedis 27 pesos. The US dollar going for 4 cedis 21 pesos, and the euro selling at 4 cedis 47 pesos. And that was business brought to you by NIB and Ernest Chemist.
Welcome to the health segment, and the health segment is sponsored by Yamvita and FPAC. 8-year-old Victoria Kwesi is suffering from a congenital hairy nevus, a skin condition characterized by an abnormally dark skin patch on the body. Medical experts say Victoria must undergo surgery to prevent it from becoming cancerous. The surgery will cost 8,000 Ghana cedis.
Congenital melanocytic nevus is a skin disease. It is otherwise known as the congenital hairy nevus. Medical experts say it is usually present at birth, and at least 1% of newlyborns have the disease. It looks like birthmark, so most parents do not really pay attention to it. But as the baby grows, it takes a different turn. The mark becomes bigger. Congenital means that something present at birth, while the melanocytic means the melanin that is found in the human skin. Nevus means birthmark and can be used to describe virtually any birthmark. The effects of the disorder are mostly cosmetic, though skin cancer is a tragic possibility. Medical experts say children with the hairy nevus can develop emotional or behavior problems. Victoria Kwesi is an 8-year-old child with the congenital hairy nevus disease. Victoria's mother, Rebecca Darkon, told GBC24 that she noticed a small mark on Victoria's face at birth, but she felt it was a birthmark until she realized it is spreading across her face as she grew. This heightened a sense of curiosity in her. Thus, she sought medical advice. A medical report on Victoria's condition at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital stipulated that Victoria go through a surgical procedure estimated to cost about 8,000 Ghana cedis. Madame Rebecca Darkon is pleading with the general public to assist her to raise funds to enable Victoria to access the required medical therapy. According to a dermatologist, Professor Edmond Dele, if Victoria is not treated on time, chances are that she could get skin cancer.
Experience shows that the longer you keep the child without any management, the worse it may become. And now the fear we have about this hairy nevi is that they can degenerate into cancers of the skin, like the melanoma. Let us all come together and help this beautiful little girl, just 8 years old, and who knows, one day she could even become our first lady.
Dr. Albert Pencil had this to say.
So far she's been through the laboratories. I think we've even done some x-ray. Everything points to the fact that she's well. There's no sign that it has become cancerous yet, but we have to deal with this before it gets to that stage. So what we are going to do is to take away all this diseased skin, and you can see it's quite big. Then we'll borrow skin elsewhere on her body, which we refer to as skin graft.
Professor Edmond Dele says the best way for parents to diagnose a congenital hairy nevus is to consult a dermatologist when they see any black spot on their baby's skin. Early treatment could prevent it from spreading to the cancerous stage, he said.
Hello, good evening. My name is Valerie Dan. So this is the entertainment segment, and it's proudly brought to you by 16 Ariam Dodo will officially launch Trash and Bin campaign to promote the culture of cleanliness in Ghana. Over 10 Miss Earth Queens across the world are in Ghana for the launch of the campaign. Is hoping to distribute trash bins across Ghana before her reign as Miss Earth 2016 ends. She explains the reason for her campaign.
The campaign is basically to encourage everyone to use the dustbin. During my research, I found that so many people lack the knowledge about the dustbin. They can see dustbins all over, but they still throw waste on the ground, and it's causing so much havoc in Ghana, and we all know about it. So my project is to make sure that everyone uses the dustbin. So I call it the Trash and Bin campaign. Every trash is supposed to be in the bin.
One of the invited queens, Jamie Harrell, also shared her contribution to the campaign.
Africa always impresses me
with all of their projects. They are so environmentally friendly. They are so active with their campaign. And that's why when I had the offer to come here to actually be the person to represent the Miss Earth Foundation, I was really honored to come here, specifically in Ghana, because that's one thing I noticed ever since I joined in 2014, is that they are very active with their campaign.
International environmentalist Greenman Matthias expressed some ways to protect the environment.
My role is really to kind of show to people and to inspire them that green living is possible. It's not expensive. It can be beneficial in terms of health. It can be beneficial for the country in terms of sustainable development, even the economy. When I was a youngster in Germany, we had the problem of air pollution, dirty rivers. Maybe some of the problems that you're facing now in Ghana. And we were actually campaigning for cleaner up Germany when I was a teenager. We had industry saying, no, we cannot do this. It will damage industry. But actually so many people were voting the Green Party, supporting green campaigns. All politicians turned green, and Germany became the champion of green technology. We suddenly made money from renewable energy. And this is the business of the future.
Ariam gave some activities lined up before the launch of the campaign.
We'll be going to so many schools. Tomorrow we'll be going to UPSA, and then we have tree planting activity with the First Lady of Ghana tomorrow. Oh, and on Thursday we'll be doing cleanup in Accra with the Kayaye.
Okay.
And then after that we'll
Which parts of Accra?
We are yet to decide where we will go, but it will be in Accra.
You're going to have all the Miss Earths on there?
Yes, on the streets.
Okay.
We are all going to clean. For people to see that indeed we are beauty with a cause.
The official launch of Trash and Bin will take place on Friday, the 21st of April 2017 at the Golden Tulip Hotel. This segment was brought to you by Cowbell. The weather report is next.
Asasura, ring method. You should apply Asasura special cocoa fertilizer to replace the nutrients that the soil loses as your pods grow. Apply Asasura special cocoa fertilizer once at the beginning of the rainy season and then once again in August to September. If your cocoa trees were planted using the line and peg method, you should apply Asasura special cocoa fertilizer using the ring method. Measure 1 pace away from your tree. Using a milk tin, spread the Asasura special cocoa fertilizer around the roots of the tree in a ring. Remember that you need 3 bags of Asasura special cocoa fertilizer for each acre of cocoa farm. Use all the 3 bags on only 1 acre. If you use less than the 3 bags, the fertilizer will not be effective.
Our fisher folks over the water, lake and over the sea, please, before you set out for fishing, call Met Office on 0302 764926. Till we meet same time, is bye for now.
And thank you, Felicity, for the weather report from the Weather Center. And this is where we part company. Thank you so much for your time. You are back at 10.